This is a Polar Star podcast.
What's going on? I'm Merf, and this is Top Tree State. We're here in the Polar Star Podcast Studios in South Portland, Maine. I'm in studio with producer extraordinaire Lee Nason. How you doing, Lee?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Excited to show this first episode of Top Tree State. This is the first episode of anything that was recorded here in the Polar Star Studios. It's been a long journey since this episode has come out or we recorded it. We're excited to get it out there. What did you think of this episode, Lee?
Oh man, it was a little bit nerves, but it was a lot of fun, and we went out and partied after to celebrate breaking in the studio.
Yeah.
You know, it took a few months to get going. And so this was kind of the culmination of all of that, and I think it really comes through in the talk with Dewey.
Me too. Yeah. It was great to have Dewey in as the first guest too, because he's a really easy conversator, and it was a good time.
It was.
Yeah. So with no further delay, here's the conversation with Andrew Doolittle of Pot and Pan. Before we get to the interview, I wanted to let you know that we are brought to you by Polar Star Podcasts, bringing you community conversations by highlighting the people, ideas, and industries that make Maine so unique. Please visit polarstarpodcast.com and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or creating a show of your own, email polarstarpodcast@gmail.com or reach out through the website. Again, that's polarstarpodcast.com. And we're back with Top Tree State. We're here with Andrew Doolittle of Pot and Pan. And Dewey, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show today, guys. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. So talk to me about how you got first involved in the cannabis industry.
So I was born in Maine, a town called Belgrade. It's about an hour north of Portland. And it was 2002, summer before sophomore year of high school. Smoked my first weed. Me and a couple friends went camping and got totally high. Loved it.
You got baked the first time you smoked? There's that
I got so baked.
Yeah.
So baked. I inhaled. I got the munchies so bad we didn't even cook food.
What'd you eat?
We brought Lunchables, and we each ate like 3 Lunchables, and it was sick.
Oh, yeah.
We're just laughing. We're in the tents, and we hear we're out on this island, and we hear the water hitting the rocks, and we think that there's like something coming to get us. So we have these big sticks. We're going around. Like,
how old were you?
I was 15. I just turned 15. So going into sophomore year of high school. And I had been wanting to smoke weed for a while. I just hadn't been able to find it.
How old are you now?
No, I'm 33. I just turned 33.
So you've been smoking more than 50% of your life.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Every day.
Every day.
Smoke weed
every day.
Awesome.
Every day. Although I have, slowed down a little bit. I don't smoke quite as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Just productivity level. I'm so fucking busy right now,
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, so got really high. And then it took another 3 months for me to find a bag of weed.
Right.
Because I was one of the smart kids. My group of friends didn't really like weed.
Yeah.
And
it's 2001 where you...
2002. Yeah. So I finally get this bag of weed, and it must have been fresh at Maine outdoors. Beautiful stuff. They called it Green Bud in my high school. And I had a weed plug, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember later that year, probably the outdoors ran out. So we were called it Merf. It was brown, seedy, crap weed.
Yeah.
And whatever, it was weed. We were still getting high.
Mm-hmm.
And then Beasters came out. This was about, 2003, late 2003. We started getting Beasters, and they were these dense Canadian buds. Sometimes smelled like hay, sometimes smelled really good. And I'm sure you guys all remember the Beasters, right? And and those were okay. And then I found this guy in town. He lived in Waterville. It was the next town over from Belgrade. And he was doing a small little closet grow. And this was my first experience with a real strain. He was growing Northern Lights #2. and he was selling it to me at $2.50 an ounce. And like Beasters were like $200 an ounce at the time, so it was like definitely like the best deal.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And
it's cool that you're like the main part of it where like there's so much local home grows, outdoor grows that's really like around more. Like the accessibility for you at 15 was like, you know, I grew up like outside of Boston and there's no one's growing indoors. It was so hard to get weed because Maine is just like always had weed.
Well, we've been decriminalized. There's a lot of forever, you know, so you can have like up to 2 ounces or something, and you could just get a ticket. And they have really weird growing laws here. Like you could grow up to 99 plants, and it would just be a misdemeanor. So people are doing 99 plant grows, taking down hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and you know all they're gonna get is, you know, maybe a little bit of jail time, slap on the wrist type shit.
Right.
So yeah, Maine's always been a place, you know, kind of like Humboldt County, but it's kind of been a secret because it's smaller, you know. But people have been doing that up here, you know, forever, since the 80s, you know. And so yeah, there was really no problem getting weed in Maine, and you know, most of it, maybe not the Merf, was all grown in Maine. So graduate high school, went to UVM freshman year, and that was totally changed my life. That was when I saw my first headies, and we're getting these like beginning of the freshman year. We're getting these pineapple AKs. It was literally the most beautiful weed. I still remember it. Completely coated in crystals, golden, just fat, fluffy nugs, so perfect. And it's expensive. It was like $420 an ounce is what we were paying. And we'd all throw down on like a gram and roll a blunt.
Right.
And
I remember those
yeah,
days of getting
right?
like a dime bag. You get $10
So-
for $10 worth of buds,
so
smoke one blunt.
So it's funny. They'd give us free hockey tickets. So we'd get a free hockey ticket. We'd go stand outside, sell it for $20, and then we'd go to our dealer and grab weed with that money.
Yeah.
And it was great. So I went undecided, didn't really know what I wanted to do for a major. I knew I liked science. I was good at math, stuff like that. So I take a botany class second semester. My professor was just amazing, Gary Olivetti. And it was a big class, but I felt like really connected. So I went to his office hours one time, and I was like, you know, I just want to talk to him. I think I want to make botany my major. And so I talked to him, go to his office hours, and he's like, you know what? Why do you want to be a botanist? I'm like, well, honestly, like I love weed. And he was mad cool. I bet he was an old hippie. I bet he smoked. You know what I mean? And so he's like, you know what? Like, you're gonna see in the next 10 years, that's gonna be a really valid, you know, industry. And yeah, and if it's not, there's tons of other things you can do with botany. So I was like, cool, let's do it. So finished up UVM, moved back to Maine, and this is like 2010, and that's right when medical marijuana program hit Maine hard. And so got my medical card from Dustin Sulak. It's funny. So Dustin, he's the starter of Integrate Health, and he was like the premier marijuana doctor on the East Coast. Really got this whole movement going, the medical movement. But he's actually closer related to me than I thought, because so my mom's a pediatrician, and he did his residency under my mom. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go see Dustin Sulak for my med card, and she's like, what? Dustin's into weed now, and he's like the biggest name in, you know, medical marijuana doctor on the whole East Coast. So went and saw him, got my card from him. I'm like, yep. So my dad was retired at the point, so we go, and he lets me grow 4 autoflowers in the backyard. So we must have planted them maybe in June, and then they were ready in August, and it was this strain called Lowrider.
That's the
ruderalis. So yeah, you don't need a flowering light cycle. It just grows in normal daylight. They're small plants. You don't yield a lot of them. But
you kind of sacrifice the yield for the autoflower.
Yeah, but it was mad easy.
Right.
And so Fish was playing down at Jones Beach. It was like the tour ender. It's like mid-August, and I had smokable flower to bring down to that Fish show, and it was like straight headies. I was so pumped, so proud of it, dude. Just ego, you know, just pumping. So then I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, okay, I just finished college. What do I do? My mom was like, well, you know, you should go back to grad school or something. I'm like, in what? She's like, well, just hit up UMaine, maybe like biological engineering. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So I hit up UMaine. This is like August, and they're like, yeah, we still have slots. Send in an application. So I applied, got accepted immediately. there the first week, meet my professor, and he's like, we're actually looking for graduate assistants. And so that basically gets you a full scholarship. They pay you a stipend of, $2,000 a month, and you help them with their research. And so that's what I did. So I spent 3 years up there, finishing my master's degree in bioengineering. And at the same time, started my first indoor grow. Just my 6 plants for myself, and then moved into a new apartment that was a little bit bigger and was able to take on 2 patients. So I was growing for my family. And so now I was doing 18 plants and finished up grad school. And I was like, what do I do now? So I'm talking to my professor. I was like, where should I work? What should I do? What's my career? And he's like, well, I had told him about the weed things. He's like, I was like, you want to come see my weed grow? So he comes over there with a couple beers, show him my weed grow. He's like, this is awesome. He's like, honestly, you should just do this. So I moved down to Windham, right outside the Portland area, and start growing. We get a house, me and my girlfriend at the time, and built a room in my basement. And still a basement grow, not like super professional. So I was in there for 2 years, and I had saved enough money to build out a big spot. So we built out the spot. It's like an 18 lighter. And that's where I've been for the past 4 years.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's 10 years of growing, takes a lot out of you. I've never not had plants growing. I've never not had plants in flower.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's like having kids. It's like having kids.
Yeah.
It's stressful. It's hard to get away. You want to go on vacation, to have someone watering the plants, taking care of it. Who can you trust? So
and that's all indoors.
All indoors. I do a few plants outdoor just for fun. Actually, I think growing outdoor plants is more fun than indoor plants.
Definitely.
It's cool. Something about sun-grown weed, it's a totally different high.
Set it and forget it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, this March actually my lease runs up there, and I think I'm gonna take a little break from growing.
Nice.
Much deserved. Pod and Pan, we should have a retail store open by then for recreational marijuana, as well as a manufacturing facility to make edibles. So that's going to take up most of my time.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to grow again. I'll grow again. I might, in a couple of years, set up another big grow, maybe just do a small little something, just for personal. We'll see,
Yeah.
I love the plant.
Right.
I love working with the plant.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pot and Pan. Let's talk about that a little bit. That's your company that you're a co-owner with, and you guys do edibles.
Yep.
CBD.
Yep. So this was like 2014.
And we
And
can show these here. That's the CBD. I use this every day. I absolutely love it. This is the Pot and Pan, 1,000 milligrams CBD. I use it every day. It's great.
So those are actually that was our old label. We're doing a whole rebrand. So look for that. Coming up in the future. But then those gummies that I brought, those are famous Medicubes. That was one of our first products. And that is with the rebrand.
I like this packaging. The Pot and Pan packaging has always been really nice.
Yeah, we worked with this design company called Might in Maine. They're local. They did like Eventide and Honey Paw and Hugo's.
Restaurants.
A lot of restaurants. They were really stoked to work with us because we were one of their first weed companies. They did seaweed. You guys, those guys?
Yep.
I
don't know them, but
so
I know their store looks great.
I haven't met them personally. I know what's his name? Scott Howard, the owner. He's also the owner of Olivia's Garden.
Okay.
And so in my grow, we use beneficial bugs, predatory mites,
Yeah.
To control. So we don't spray pesticides.
Yeah.
And he's the supplier for those. So I've been
Cool.
dealing with him just through emails and stuff for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But I've actually never met him face to face.
I always loved the idea of getting bugs in the mail. I just always thought
Well, no, he just dropped them at the
you
grow
pick
store.
them
You just
up?
drop them at the grow
You pick
store
them up in
every 2
person?
weeks and just go pick them up. You PayPal them. They just be sitting there in a box for you.
nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's cool. Where were we?
I don't remember.
Okay.
We're
We
talking
Pod
about
and Pan.
yeah.
So, and the rebrand.
rebrand.
So that was
how is like packaging laws, let's say, in Maine? Like, is it strict? You guys kind of are able to do whatever you want.
Obviously, you want things to be tamper-proof. Like, if someone
Child-proof.
So tamper-proof, so someone didn't open your bag of weed and pinch a nug out or something. Childproof is really important too, especially for edibles. You
Do
know,
they
because
have
kids think they're
strict
candy.
laws about making it look like it's not for children?
So no animal shapes, no gummy bears, no, stuff like that you'd see like at like a candy store.
Yeah.
But it's about also being a child resistant bag. So if you see those bags, they have that zipper that's,
Yeah.
they're hard to open even for adults.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're, you might have really bad arthritis or you're old, you might have trouble opening that packaging.
Yeah.
But I mean, help the kids out. We don't want kids eating a brownie and I've heard stories of kids eating brownies and just getting wrecked.
Yeah.
Like my
No,
friend's
we
dog,
don't-
my friend's dog ate
Oh, yeah,
25
no,
milligram
you-
chocolate and was on the floor for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a very common thing is dogs or
Yeah.
animals
They'll eat
ending up-
anything. Dogs will eat anything.
And children, yeah. Yeah, that's the last thing you want. We want the image of the industry to be is like overdosing of like underage kids.
It's a bad look. It's a bad look for the
Yeah.
industry. But so right now medical has no packaging laws. For recreational marijuana, there's going to be the child proof. There's going to have to be a batch number. So if there's a recall on a product for any reason, you can track that down. There's going to be, you have to put the dosage on there. Where it was sourced from, and then all edibles, just all food products always have to have the kitchen it was processed in. So that's on all of our products anyway. And we're making edibles, we're bound by the state's like food laws too. We're just the same as any bakery or restaurant. We have to abide by those rules and then also follow all the guidelines and regulations from the marijuana program as well.
So that's a lot of
And
guidelines.
So get down to testing for quality control. There's no laws on testing for medical right now. So you can test for potency, you can test for mold, you can test for pesticides, residual solvents in your extracts.
Is this testing? Do you get your bud tested or you're testing your edibles once they're like
all
made?
All of it. So you test your flour for potency, mold in that, and all those things. Then you test your extracts for residual solvents. Usually the pesticides don't come through if you have it on your weed, but I think in the recreational program, the weed doesn't test. You can't extract it, and then as long as the extracts don't have residual solvents, they come to us at the edible company, and we'll have have a potency on them so that we can accurately dose our edibles. And so this is where it comes back. So accurately dosed edibles. How many times you got in that pot brownie, and it just totally blasted you?
I have to say, when I was growing up smoking weed, making my own edibles, I hated edibles because I would always make them way too strong. And it's great. I was so cautious about getting back into them once, we got med and stuff that because I just had that bad experiences. And so how do you know how much is in it? It's all a ratio.
Yep. So okay, say your product's 80%. You're gonna have to put in like.
So you're looking at the paperwork that says how much percentage the THC is in the nugget before you even make the edibles.
So it's in that. So this is the great thing about extracts coming to the market is now you can actually dose like a gummy product. You can't put flour or butter in a gummy or a candy product.
Yeah, because when I was making edible,
just make pot butter.
We're just making butter. So you guys are taking like distillate.
So this is where it's interesting. So you use like a full spectrum BHO that's not already decarboxylated, which means the THC isn't active to you.
Right.
So when you smoke, it's
THCA,
and when you heat that, it turns to THC delta 9, and that's what gets you high.
Right.
So if you're using like a BHO or a rosin to make an edible, you have to decarboxylate it. So you put it in the oven at a certain temperature for a certain time, and you lose a little bit of mass, but then you get an activated product. Distillate's already decarboxylated.
Right. That was gonna be my next question.
And so this is where it's cool. So you do a sour diesel and you're gonna get a totally different high than off a Gorilla Glue or off of cookies or something.
But distillate doesn't have any terpenes.
So distillate, you take out the terpenes, and so you can make distillate with one strain and distillate with a different strain, and it's going to be very negligible differences in the effects of the high.
You think there is a difference?
No, it's not slightly, but negligible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, people, when they buy an edible, they want a product they can trust. You know, they
For
want to
sure.
know they're getting
That's
the
why I
same.
use pot and pan CBD.
There you go.
Every time, you know.
So, you know, you want to eat a 10 milligram gummy, you want to go to work, and it turns out to be a 20 or 30 milligram gummy, you might lose your job. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So yeah, accurate dosing is huge. So we'll, but also like if you go and you get a sour diesel edible, and then the next week you try to go get the same bag, but they made them with a different strain, you're not gonna have the same effect. So you might take one for work and then be totally like indica instead of like sativa, you know?
But if you use distillate,
yeah, exactly. You can get a very consistent dosage. So in the future, I do see us having special runs of strain specific edibles.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're doing this, like we're doing 500 packs available. That's all we have of this one run of this, you know, whatever strain. But for right now, distillate. It's building trust in your customers. That's what's really important. Educating them about the differences of, you know, different strains, what those effects are, distillate, all that stuff. There's a lot of education that we do to our customers and to our patients.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that might be a good time to take a little break.
Yeah.
And we'll come right back.
Sounds good.
Thanks. We'll see you soon. Back with Top Tree State. We're here with Andrew Doolittle, and we were talking about the formation of his company Pot and Pan. So do you want to get into how that all started?
Yeah, so me and my current co-owner, one of the current co-owners of Pot and Pan, Chris Blake, he owns the Blazing Ace, the head shop down on 4th Street in Portland. Good friend of mine. Actually met him at a smoke shack at Sugarloaf in 2004. And these guys they were packing mad bowls. And I was like, these guys are so cool. And they gave me a Blazing Ace sticker. I had it put it on my ski helmet. And then I linked up with him a few years later. We, you know, hit it off once again. And he's been one of my best friends ever since. So him and I are going up to this cannabis convention, homegrown show up in Augusta. We go up there. We run into these guys from Vacationland Genetics. And they have a little booth there. And they have these hard candy skulls. That were maybe like the size of like a little bit smaller than a ping pong ball. And they hooked us up with some, and we were like, sweet, edibles, like this candy edibles. And I had never really had a candy edible at this point. Mm-hmm. And they told us the recipe to make them. And this is where it's so interesting. This is anyone can go use this recipe. So I encourage you all to go, all you listeners to go, you know, try this recipe at home. It's super easy. What you do is you buy Jolly Ranchers, you separate them by color. Right? And you unwrap them and you put all of one color into a pot with just a little bit of water, just enough to cover the bottom of the pot. So then you heat them up, melt them down. They'll start to bubble, put a candy thermometer in there, get it up to hard crack temperature, which is, I think, around, it's a candy term. There's soft crack and hard crack. I know. It's funny. I think it's funny. So get it up to hard crack. Your candy thermometer should just say where it is. And I used to remember, I knew it at one time what temperature was, but I'm not in the baking anymore. I've kind of gotten rusty on the actual baking. I handle more of the business side.
You whip it up with some baking soda.
No, I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Yeah, never made crack before, never smoked crack. Proud to say that.
Good.
Yeah, so then you get it. You have some molds. You can pour them in ice cube trays if you want, or lollipop molds. Just get some molds off Amazon or something. But before you pour the molds, last minute you add your decarboxylated oil or your distillate. And if you know how many pieces you're going to make in that batch, you can back calculate the dosage on that. Mm-hmm. It's a simple math equation. By knowing the percentage of the product going in, the THC percentage, you can easily calculate how much you really need to add. And you know, if you're off by a few milligrams, not really a big deal, and just the home baker, setting. But as you know, a professional company, we need to be exact, especially with recreational.
How many milligrams is a recommended dosage?
So some people like like to take a lot. Like I can eat up to 100 milligrams and
I
still,
like
and
to
still
take
be
100.
still be fully
But I've been
functional.
smoking for 15 years.
But
so,
here's the
whatever.
thing: smoking tolerance and edible tolerance are totally different things. So you could smoke a half ounce a day, and a 10 milligram edible might get you wrecked. Or you
Right.
could eat 100 milligrams of edibles today and not really smoke.
And
you
why
smoke a
is that?
joint.
Is that because it's going from in your bloodstream or into your
digestive
system?
It's going through your lung. It's going through your
different?
lungs into your bloodstream when you smoke it, and when you eat it, it's getting digested through your intestinal walls.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a slower onset, lasts longer, and you get more bang for your buck off the amount of milligram in an edible compared to in like the flower you would smoke.
Yeah.
So we get this Jolly Rancher recipe. We didn't like do the calculation to test. We just throw like a glob of hash oil in there, and we made these Jolly Ranchers. And the purple ones were good. The green ones were pretty good. The pink ones were terrible. The watermelons, like, don't go for the watermelon. The cherries, man. But like purple and green and blue, those were my favorites. They still weren't great. And so we're doing those. We give them out to some of our friends, and they were way too strong. So we scared a bunch of our friends on these edibles.
Hell
and
yeah.
it like was really bad for business because, give them to a few patients and they're like, oh, I'm never taking one of these again.
Right.
So we were like, okay, what do we do? So then we got the cube molds, right? And we, which is our standard shape, the Medicubes. That was our first product, the hard candy Medicubes. This is back in 2014. And so we were making these things. We got the cube molds. We tested the oil, decarbed it, and made 10 milligram pieces of hard candy. And that's in recreational, that's the max dose per piece.
And how? And there's 1,000 or 100 milligrams in a gram.
In 1 gram of pure THC, there's 1,000 milligrams.
1,000.
So if it's at 85%, you have 850 milligrams in that 1 gram of oil. So we making these things. We get the cube molds, hard candies, and we're like, okay, let's make a business out of this. So we formed Pot and Pan in 2015, got a licensed kitchen, and started making edibles.
How was the laws in Maine on being approved to do that business?
Doing edibles?
Doing edibles, opening a unit. Yeah, because so you have a grow that supplies that.
Yeah, so we were just doing them for ourselves and our patients. But in order to sell to patients and make it like legit, you really need to have a licensed kitchen.
You need
that's approved by the state, approved by the state. Just as in like a restaurant or you would do, or a bakery. And that's really what set us aside from a lot of the edible makers at the time is the professionalism. It's all about safety. Cleanliness, having the 3-bay sink. The wash, rinse, sanitize. And they come in, they inspect you and make sure everything's clean and healthy, just as they would with any other restaurant. So we get that license. We're at this downstairs apartment on St. John Street that we rented from a friend, and we quickly outgrew that spot. So it was a year and a half later, we moved to our current location on Forest Avenue in Portland, and that's where we've been. But we're like maxed out there. We have 2 shifts going, so we go from 6 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, and then have another one starting at 1 that goes to 7 p.m. And it's just packed in there. But we're excited because that's going to become our retail store, and we have a new facility we're building out for manufacturing. It's 5,000 square feet, and it's just going to be enormous.
Wow.
We're scaling up. We're getting.
You guys have a great location. Your Pot and Pan.
Yeah,
if that's your rec store, that's an amazing
store.
Location.
It's right on Forest Ave on Woodford's Corner. 30,000 cars a day drive by.
Portland, Maine.
Yeah. We've had our sign up. People have been seeing that sign. What is that? What is that logo?
Right. Yeah.
What is that?
Can you walk in there?
No. So what we do? So we're a manufacturer. So this is how it started. So we were making for ourselves, and then one of our caregiver friends was like, "Hey, would you make these for me?" We're like, "Yeah." Like he's like, "Can I bring you this oil to make them? My oil?" And we're like, "Yeah." And this was like an aha moment. We were like, okay, cool. We can make a business out of this.
Right.
So he's going to sell those to his patients. Meanwhile, now all of a sudden, all of his patients know about pot and pan. So we get a couple more caregivers coming in.
Yeah.
And it just, this
Because
is
when
how
you give your product to patients, you're putting it in your packaging.
Yeah, and you could only sell to your patients. And this is the time before all the dispensaries were open, all the caregiver stores were open.
Right.
It was just Wellness Connection, Canuvo in the area, a few other dispensaries around the state. But the laws changed. What was it, like 2017, 2018 maybe is when they allowed stores to open. And that changed the whole game. Then so many people got their medical cards, and it's essentially the same as going into a rec store, except you pay, it's whatever between like $60 and $100 to get your card renewed every year.
Yeah, I love that business idea of just having people bring you their product and then you turn it into. It's like how concentrates that kind of work.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we were able to get our product in the hands of so many more people than the 6 patients I was allowed to service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was awesome, and that's how we were allowed to grow. We, me, Chris, and Carrie John, all my 2 other partners, and I all put in $333 to start the business, and we haven't had to put any more money in since.
Are you kidding me?
I
You started this business on $1,000.
$1,000
Wow.
back in 2015.
That's business, people.
Oh man, it was crazy, but it was totally organic growth, and but we just put it all back into the company. I haven't taken a paycheck from Pot and Pan yet.
Wow.
I know. Yeah.
Wow.
So
and you've been able to do so much more recently too. You just started a restaurant.
I did just start a restaurant. We opened February 7th, so we had 5 weeks before COVID hit. We had a killer first month. Got a lot of great feedback. It's called Ishi Ishi.
It's amazing. I eat there a lot.
Yeah.
The hot dogs, man.
Yeah, we have these Japanese style street dogs. our specialty though is ramen.
The ramen, yeah, it's great.
It's a cool little vibe, and yeah, I encourage you all to come in. We have outdoor seating right now. We'll see. Hopefully everything will be back to normal by next summer. So
it's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great new business.
But it's
one of the coolest things that I like about this place is that you've incorporated your pot and pan CBD into having CBD ramen.
You can put CBD in the ramen if you want to add CBD or ramen. It's like a $3 upcharge. We'll do a nice big square. It's like 20, 25 milligrams. And yeah, it's great. No one else is putting CBD in food. Yeah. Like at a restaurant.
It's great.
Yeah. So my business partner, Matt, he's for Ishi Ishi, he's a chef, and I was, restaurants are cool. I knew how to run a business. So it all worked out. It's working out. It's going to work out. This is a tough time to have a restaurant, man. It's a tough time.
How could you have predicted that?
We couldn't, man. We couldn't, man. But we proved the business model. It's going to work. We just have to, hold tough. We're going to survive. We're going to stick it out, and we'll be back to normal next summer.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm confident of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Place is great. It's going to do fine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Let's talk a little bit more about CBD. Let's talk about how competitive in Maine is there a lot of other CBD companies?
So there's tons of CBD companies. But CBD is interesting, and there's a lot of misinformation about CBD. Not all CBD is equal.
Yeah.
You want a full spectrum CBD, which means it has all the terpenes. It's less percentage CBD, lower percentage, but it has more of all those natural plant chemicals.
Right. And what does having terpenes with your CBD do? Because when you have terpenes with THC, the terpenes are what's opening the cannabinoid receptors in your brain.
Yeah,
so the THC is going. Does CBD do a similar thing?
It's exactly the same. So terpenes, all they are is they're smell and flavor molecules. That's what you smell and taste when you smoke your weed.
Right. But they're what causes the effect of having different effects.
Exactly. Same thing if you do, if you're doing, like mint is soothing, or eucalyptus is, all this stuff, all these things, these lemon,
essential oils,
all these essential oils, it's the same exact thing.
Yeah.
But when you combine that with, a cannabinoid like CBD or THC, it does a totally different effect. And that's really the main difference between indicas and sativas and all the different effects you get from strains are the terpene blends, because it's all the same THC,
right?
Chemical.
Like that would be distillate.
Distillate is stripped of its terpenes.
Yeah.
It's very pure.
So that's
80,
why
90%.
you get the same high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I love the CBD that you guys make. It's the same every time. It's like you said, it's you build a customer base off the trustworthiness of the quality, the continual quality.
Exactly. And so there's a couple farms that we work with in Maine. Stuff we've had for the past year has been MOFGRA certified, Maine Organic Farmers Alliance, and it is absolute fire CBD.
Nice. So
Um,
CBD is grown in flower as well from female plants, or is
So
it's also in male plants?
so like cannabis, THC cannabis you smoke can have CBD.
It has CBD,
I
but
had
low
this-
levels. You wouldn't want to grow a regular strain just for its CBD.
So that's actually there. You would, and before hemp became legal, CBD and became a thing, to grow. There was like these strains like Harlequin that was 20%, and ACDC. Those are cannabis strains that are like 20-to-1 ratio CBD to THC.
Mhm.
And so it's those strains were bred with industrial hemp plants to make a compliant, and you have to have less than 0.3% THC in your plant to get it approved. So people are growing these huge fields of hemp. Sometimes it's called being hot if a plant is over that ratio
Okay.
of 0.3%.
What are there different laws for growing hemp or CBD specific flower apart from growing THC flower?
Yeah, totally. So hemp is you get a hemp permit,
Yeah.
and they're cheap. They're really cheap. And you can literally do as many plants as you want. It's more of a farmed product. There's a few companies out there doing indoor CBD for smokable CBD flower,
Right.
which you can do and smoke some CBD flower. You're gonna get a really nice feeling. You're not gonna get high,
I smoked
but you'll
some
definitely
of
feel
your,
something.
What was that strain that you gave me? Like it
Oh.
was LA Woman or something.
So that
like
wasn't CBD. So LA Woman is one of my favorite strains. I actually
Right.
brought you guys some LA Woman sugar over there.
Nice.
But that is.
Do we want to show this off right here?
Yeah, you want to show that off?
Which one is
It's the yellower one is the sugar. That's the diamonds.
That stuff looks great right
Is
there.
that the diamonds or the sugar?
It looks like
That's the diamond.
that's
I
the
think.
diamond.
Let's see the other one. So that's the sugar. So that's LA Woman sugar. LA Woman has CBN, which is another cannabinoid. And CBN is really good for sleep, and it also appetite stimulation. So when I got this weed first, I've had this strain, LA Woman, since 2011 and kept the mother going. And it's probably my favorite high.
I like it, yeah.
So when I got it tested for the first time, the flower, it came back at 14% THC. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is
That's
so
super
low, dude.
Yeah.
But it had 2.4% CBN. Like, what's a CBN? I hadn't really heard of it before. But what it is a potentiator. So that's why you have this feeling, it gets you like this bud gets you so high, gives you the munchies. Amazing. I call it like an all day indica.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can sleep on it, but like it's
What's
just
your
so
favorite
fun.
strain to smoke?
The LA Woman.
For
For high LA Woman, for flavor, it's
you trying to blaze?
the Chem 91. Did you bring a rig?
Yeah,
Got a rig?
we can blaze. I got this roach we can smoke.
I'll smoke a roach.
All
I'll
right,
smoke
cool.
a roach.
It's not like really.
I've never seen out of a roach. So yeah, Chem 91 for flavor. That's my flavor strain. But my favorite strain to grow, and I think the people.
This is actually some Chem 91 that
For real?
Trevor dropped off last night.
No way.
Yeah.
So Trevor's one of my employees. He's all-star grower. He's actually going to take over my grow for me when I leave. He's been working with me for over 5 years.
Trevor's great.
now.
We're gonna have him on an episode.
So yeah, this is my weed. This is great. Surprised me with my own weed. My favorite strain to smoke.
Lee's
That's
giving
so
me the
funny.
dirty
That's
eye
so
because we've
funny.
never blazed in the studio before.
Well, get
Well, it's the
carbon
middle
filter.
of the day
Get
too.
the carbon filter going. Might be too loud. Might mess with the mics,
Classic. Yeah, this is a smoking show. This is called Top Tree State, and we blaze here. This is 420 friendly.
It's all legal. Weed's legal in Maine, so that's great.
I'm just pulling roaches out of my pocket.
Hey, that
'cause-
roach is great though. That's the great
I'm
thing about the chem.
I'm game. Fuck
Whatever.
it.
Yeah.
Fuck
The
it.
chem tastes great all the way down. That's what I
Mhm.
love about it. And
So, what terpene profile takes is within the chem? Do you know?
dude,
That's
I
a
should have
tricky
done some research
question.
before. Yeah, I can't tell you off the top of my head, man. We can look it up online. But yeah, it's that skunky
Right.
fuely, gassy.
There's a lot of
Cat
chem
piss,
dog
you know?
strains.
Yeah.
Is the 91 one of the more original strains?
Yeah,
of
so
hemp?
Chem 91 is actually, if my knowledge is accurate, is the, I think, original Chem Dog crossed with Skunk 1. And if what I have heard and is accurate, the stories I've heard and the knowledge that I've gained about it, Chem 91 and Crypt 91 were the two phenotypes that they kept that made it big off that cross. But, you know, weed lore, can you trust it? You know,
Right.
Urban legends.
The world of
urban
breeding,
legends.
I feel like, has come so far since, like, you know, we started smoking, like you were talking about earlier. When we started smoking in the early 2000s, it was Beasters or Regs, or like, that didn't really have a name. Like Northern Lights was the first.
That was the first time I heard of a
I
name.
had heard of like a name.
Well, we had Blueberry too, because that was a
Ludicrous
good
song.
That was a good. Blueberry was like a main strain that was like pretty well grown outdoor. So we did have a little bit of that in high school.
Yeah,
but I don't think the high school kids would like get the name when the grower gave it to them. You know, so it'd probably go through.
Oh,
who would sell to a high school kid? I don't even know how high school kids got weed. I
know
how I got weed,
right?
But like
people were just like. Yeah, I mean, I feel like people were just making up names at some point. You know, you'd get like these really ridiculous names that are like, you know. And then when that movie Pineapple Express came out, and everyone was had you know, pineapple bud, or like people would be like spraying it down with old pineapple juice.
I don't know.
I
haven't heard that one before.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? That one. Talk about quality control. That would not pass the test.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, I mean, you know, I grew up in Mass, and like, we didn't see too much bad quality control, but I hear about so much bad quality control nowadays. I recently was reading this article about people stretching distillate with gums and or wood resins to make it look like shatter. And this is obviously black market things, but like, you know what I mean? To have a different product and like to change product, or to like, I was reading another one about people putting baking soda on their buds to make it look like more frosty, and then people to check if their bud was covered in baking soda, taking a little sample and squeezing lemon on it, because if it has baking soda on it,
a little vinegar, like those volcanoes,
it makes foam. Yeah. So we don't really run into that problem up here in Maine with quality control, because there's so much med. It's so much on the med market. I rarely even get bud from like a caregiver nowadays. I just go to stores, because why wouldn't you?
I mean, do you want to go to your weed dealer's house? It's trash. There's potato chips all over the floor. He's sitting there playing video games in his underwear. You know what I mean? Or do you want to go into a nice shop? His dog's running around, dude. Cat hair everywhere. Yeah, dude. Totally get it, man. But the thing is there's no testing requirements, you know, and people aren't throwing out entire crops because you get a little bit of mold, you know. So with the recreational market and those requirements, you're going to be guaranteed getting safe product.
Right.
But you're going to pay a little bit more, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
But all of us, every single person who
What do you think is a fair price? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. So I just want to quickly add, everyone who has ever smoked weed has smoked some mold and some pesticides.
Oh, definitely. You know? Yeah. The amount of powdery mildew that people have probably smoked in their life.
I mean, yeah.
You know, yeah.
I mean, not my weed, but
not your weed.
My weed.
I've never seen your weed, but do you have product going into stores at all?
Oh yeah, I sell maybe 70%, about 70% of all my products to caregiver stores. I work with, you know, Atlantic Farms is a big one, Cure Cannabis, Kind & Co. So, you know, we all kind of collab. I've had some product in Canuvo dispensary.
I love that about the Maine community, and that's kind of why I started this podcast, is that the collaboration feeling of it, you know? I mean, there's competition. It's competition, but it really drives a better market. The competition, you know, makes people grow better. Like everyone is growing top tier state. That's, you know, it's top tier bud. And if you're not growing great indoors in Maine, you're not like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It's competitive, but it's collaborative because it's pushing each other. It's very, have you said like people have kind of helped you along the way and like inspiring you to grow better or to teaching you new things about growing?
Absolutely. And it's like, yeah, your buddy grows some weed. Maybe you guys have the same strain. He grows it better. You're like, man, I'm gonna grow it better than him, and it makes it kind of that
Yeah.
healthy competition really drives the quality of products up.
Mhm.
And yeah, you learn. It's like, oh, like try this new light. It's fucking sick. That's what I'm using. Or like try this.
Yeah.
You should switch over to this automated watering system.
Yeah.
Or go on this new nutrient line. It's
Yeah.
awesome. So there's a lot of that, and that's all that happens. But there are maybe the little secrets, the special little tricks, maybe that special compost tea recipe you're using to add like make a living soil, like those type of things. People do keep a little secret.
Yeah.
And there's definitely also with strains, there's some strains people
Yeah,
that
definitely
don't give away, hoard.
Yeah. Which is fair enough.
Yeah,
That keeps
yeah.
your business separated. If everyone had the same, if everyone was just growing purple punch with, kind of everyone is, it would get boring. You know what I mean? You don't.
Yeah,
You
exactly,
need diversity.
exactly.
That's why I go to stores to buy weed.
And
Because you could get an eighth of 8 different weeds and walk out of there. It's jarred, it's packaged, it's tested, it's proven, it's
great.
and it's really not that much more money up here than it is, like than the black market would be. I don't think.
Yeah, no, I mean
It's reasonable.
It's
price
so reasonable. It's so reasonable.
especially for medicine.
So
If you're comparing it to like a pharmaceutical medicine that you'd be taking to do whatever you have your med card for, that's probably would be costing you way more money, right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Health insurance, no.
Well, maybe we're
If
not-
your health
if you have
insurance would be
health
way
insurance.
cheaper. Yeah.
Who has health insurance?
I have health insurance. We play a shitload of hard to the marketplace. But hey,
I don't know.
you never be too careful, man.
I don't know if I should say whether or not I have health insurance, but I don't have health insurance.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a thing that we should talk about on
Maybe we
this
should
show.
cut this.
I'm starting to get blazed and getting confused.
You guys want to talk politics?
All right. Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about laws. Where do you see the laws? Because we're coming up on having rec. So where do you see the laws going in Maine? What are we looking forward to?
So, yeah, you're going to see a lot of shops opening up as more towns opt in to allowing medical, grows and stores. You're going to see it pop up all over the state. But yeah, what were we looking for? We're going into people are going to have full access. Tourists are going to be coming up. It's going to bring so much money into Maine in other industries, in hotels, in restaurants, in everything, like grocery stores, all over.
Mm-hmm.
Public state parks, they're going to come up here. See what you can go to Mass. I think there's a couple stores down there. I've heard iffy things about that. I don't know. I haven't been myself, so I haven't known.
And like,
that's so there's going to be. And who goes on vacation in Massachusetts? You might go up to the Berkshires or something like that. But
all the people that I know that live in Maine are from Massachusetts. So we get the hell out of there.
Yeah,
I came up here. It's fucking vacation land, bro.
Hey, man,
sick.
vacation all year long when you live here. But yeah, so people come. They'll go to the beach. They'll go camping. They'll do Maine things, but they'll have the weed. It's very similar to the craft beer industry. People come up, and they'll, go hit all the breweries in town, and then drive up farther north, and you can hit 100 breweries within
for sure,
2-hour drives.
Yeah.
So same with weed, and that's where when you have this one specific strain, you can only get one place. People are going to be coming into your store.
Definitely.
And
that'll definitely be a thing with the rec market. Is
and
having
so
specific strains.
as an edible manufacturer, Pot and Pan we're going to have products that are at all the stores. You know what I mean? Like our gummies, our chocolate bars, stuff like that. But at our retail store, we're going to have special stuff like the special pumpkin spice donut in the fall. I mean, I don't really like pumpkin spice. I don't know why I said that, but or like s'mores bars kits. So have you seen those ones? So we homemade graham cracker, medicated chocolate bar, and it comes with homemade marshmallow. So you just take out you can do it over a fire, but you can take out your torch like you would dab with. Toast up your marshmallow. They are
brilliant.
Straight fire.
Brilliant.
Straight fire. Our head baker over there, Tara, she's really incredible, really talented.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love the idea of toasting a marshmallow with a dab torch, like on a little dabber. Man.
But yeah, so stay tuned for some cool stuff from us because
cool. Sweet.
we're thinking probably for January, February, March by
Yeah.
the time this all figures out. But
Nice.
yeah.
All right. Word. Well, I think that about wraps it up. I have a gift for you for coming on the
Oh.
show. It's a VHS copy of Phantoms.
Wow.
It's a demo tape. It says video box art may vary. 55-day PPV window. A chillingly original thriller. Ben Affleck. It's the
I love
bomb
I
in
love Ben
Phantoms.
Affleck.
Ben Affleck is a bomb in Phantoms. So that's for you.
Well, I think my parents still have a VHS player at their house.
That's awesome. Here, I'm gonna sign it for you.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on the show. I'm gonna draw a little mustache.
Not on Affleck.
On Ben Affleck.
No, not on Affleck.
I'll draw a mustache on everyone because it's just like a hilarious thing to do. This guy gets a curly one with a beard.
Ben Affleck has one like I used to have.
I'll do. Yeah, I remember that. Those were crazy. And then I'll just draw glasses on her, and I'll say, "Thanks." Here you go.
Love you, buddy.
I love you, dude. Thanks
This
you for
was
coming on
awesome,
the
yeah.
show.